On what?
On the agenda template. I mean, I know it said it on the calendar invite that I sent you guys.
I went to the agenda thing.
Right, but the top of the agenda says July 6th.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I updated it on here, so I'm not sure why that didn't. I'll look here.
This was July 1st on the.
It does everywhere else, like here.
Yeah, that's where I
Yeah.
But there it says.
Yeah, it does.
Well, we're meeting in the future.
Did you hear from Denny? Denny is joining right now.
Okay.
Oh.
There I see.
And I know Deb had to work till 5, I think. We need to hurry up to get to the election so I can stop talking. Good Lord. Yeah, that's me coughing. Sorry, guys.
There's Denny.
Hi, Denny.
Looks like the only person that.
We're missing Deb, right?
Right.
I know her, she works.
Well, thanks everybody for having that special meeting. We have two primary things that have to be accomplished, and that's the election of the officers as well as updating the signatories. Those are the two primary reasons why we had to meet today, is because we got to get that changed since we have new board members. But we can, do we want to wait a little bit more for Deb, or do you want to get through some of this other stuff first?
We can probably do 1, 2, and 3, but I don't know if we should do if we can wait for Deb for the election. That would probably be better.
Okay. Whew. Let's hurry up and get an officer selected so I don't have to talk as much. I have to apologize first to everybody. I am dealing with asthma, so I'm dealing with some trouble talking here today, but we'll go ahead and get started, and when Deb joins in, then we can jump back to the other items that you mentioned, Steve. Steve, do you want to lead the meeting until we get to the election?
Yep, I'll start off. So we'll call the meeting to order at 5:06. And roll call. So we'll welcome Diana and Emma. We have Denny and Brian and Temple.
My Zoom name was Brian Temple, so they're giving me a hard time. Deb is on her way, but she was not, she missed that it was.
Okay, and we're missing Deb Everson. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, Diana? Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign? Okay, So we're in the meeting and we're on election of officers, and I would like to skip over item 4 until, and Deb is going to be here, right?
She said she's on her way.
She said she's on her way.
Okay.
Okay.
But
And so we can probably do the item 5 and 6, I think, without her, and then we'll come back or see how far we get. But approval of minutes from the last, and we 2 meetings?
No, just the June 22nd, because it looks like you guys did the minutes from the other one at the previous one. Is that correct?
Okay, but we had the executive session meeting, but there aren't minutes, but do you approve?
That's what's here. Oh, this is the, agenda. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that at the next meeting. We'll move it to the next meeting
so minutes from which?
from your executive session. She did have those.
Yeah, they were,
Let's actually pull them up here.
it just kind of said we,
Yep, it was just the wrong one was
Met
attached,
and-
it looks like. Here was your minutes from the last meeting from June 22nd.
yeah. Just executive session and then adjournment, so. And then the July 16th, June 16th one. So both of them were in the packet. Can we approve both of them?
Yep, because they're both listed on the website.
Right, okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the June 16th and 22nd meetings.
I'm just, I
Yep.
have a thing about names, and I
Question.
see that they put Diana's name as Diane, and I know it's Diana.
Oh, okay.
So,
I was given that wrong, so that's good to know.
Oh, and, yep, okay.
Okay.
With that correction, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the minutes be approved.
Okay, do I have a second? Denny, that's you, since you're the only other one that was there.
Is that okay, Denny? Oh, we can't hear
He's
you.
muted.
No, he's not muted. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Denny.
Okay, I'm not muted.
Now you are.
Now you are.
Yeah.
Now you're good.
Better?
Yep.
Okay, barely hear you guys.
All right, we'll make a point of talking into our mics. Is that better?
A little bit. I'm gonna get my headset. If I got it here, I'm gonna put it on.
Hey Stephanie, do you guys have a camera that shows who's in the room with you?
I do, but I can't share my screen. I'm doing it from a laptop, so we're improvising here.
Okay, no worries.
In the room is Jessica Pickett, Steve Rice, Ann Temple, and myself.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
In order to get it to project and be able to have the microphone, I have trouble, well, I could point it
Here
to
comes
Steve, I
Deb
guess.
Everson.
She is. That was quick.
That's my, no, this is the only one. So the date on the top of the agenda was wrong. I updated it when I was on vacation, but it must not have stayed, so. No, you're totally fine.
Okay. So we are at the point of approval of minutes from the June 16th and 22nd. And we have a motion, but we're waiting on a second.
It's not working.
Denny, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
We kind of,
Second?
I
Yeah.
still need a second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. Any other discussion on that? And so the one change is, it was Diane and it's Diana Goldhammer, so. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay. Now we will go back to election of officers for the Board of Trustees, and I guess this is start of my,
It does say in your bylaws
Was-
that you need to elect someone by
but
secret
secret
ballot.
ballot.
I'm not sure how we need to do that with you that
I'm trying to think,
are, but can you do it to one person versus the whole group?
Could do it. Could they just text
Yeah,
Jessica? or
here, I'll
something?
give you this. The three of you on the computer, do you have access to cell phone? Yes. Okay, so if you would, do we need to do nominations first and then vote by secret ballot?
Yes.
Okay. So once we get into the nomination, I'll have you text your vote to 999. You do it.
It's 999-5201. Do you need that again, or are you good?
Oh, are we all going to do that?
No,
She's going to hand out little pieces of
we
paper.
got paper
for
for
us.
in the room, but for the three on Zoom, it's 999-5201.
This might become not necessary depending on how many people are nominated, because if there's only one nominee, then it's not secret then, so.
Okay.
We've done this twice in, I guess, the 8 years that I've been on here, and we always only had one nominee, so.
Okay.
So that's how it went. So, with that, I'll open the floor for nominations of officers for the Board of Trustees, and we'll have
I'd like to nominate Ann Temple for president.
okay.
I was afraid of that.
I'll second that.
Do we have
I
any
will-
nominations?
I will move the nomination cease.
I was afraid of that.
There a second? Okay. Okay, we only have one nominee,
Oh,
So-
lucky.
Well, I have the tenure here, a year and a few months, so.
yeah, this is the
I'm a young board.
newest, board, I guess, since I've been part of this, so, so we have a motion second for nomination cease. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Okay, so we have one motion on the floor. Since we only have one, I don't know if we need to text secretly to them. I'll entertain a motion, or all those in favor of Ann as do we call him chairperson? Chairperson? President?
According to your, wait, I'm sorry,
No.
chairperson. according to your
Chairperson it is,
bylaws.
isn't it?
Yep.
We have a chairperson and vice chairperson. All those in favor of Ann Temple for chairperson for Board of Trustees signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Ann,
Congratulations.
congratulations. Now, you can take over at this point to get a vice chairman.
All right. I would just like to start by saying I know something of parliamentary procedure, but I'm welcome to any lapses that I have.
We have an expert right over here and another good one right over here, so.
So the next thing then is we need nominations for a vice chairperson. And does anyone have any that they would like to nominate?
I will nominate Denny.
I'll second that. Touche.
She can. She's
Yes,
a
she
voting
can.
member on the board.
Yep.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, then I would say that the nominations are ceased. Okay?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Hello, Denny.
I am.
And then the library director is the secretary, so we're in the interim. Stephanie has been doing the minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll keep doing that until we get your Kevin on board, so.
All right. All right. So the next
Item is the director's report.
director's report, and those are the statistics. So I imagine either Jessica or Stephanie that you put those together. So
Actually, we did not. Cindy mine and put the information together. She used to put it together for Jackie, for you guys.
okay.
So I just thought since you did have it, we would provide it to you. You may look at doing something different when Kevin gets here.
Okay? So, does anyone see anything there that they want to speak to?
And when Kevin comes on, we can show him the things we tracked before, and I'm hoping that he comes up with other things he wants to track, but we at least have 7 years worth of historical information, I guess, that we can get out to everybody, and it was put together from different reports that they have at the library available, and I'm hoping he can find additional things in the software that might be able to.
Right now is all we have is the interlibrary loan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Usually there's
And-
a lot more statistics than just that, but
Things we tracked in the past, computer usage, the circulation per month,
utilities,
utilities, the amount of book sale, although it's closed right now,
cards,
cards issued, new cards issued, total, I guess those types of things. And I'm really just hoping Kevin grabs all that and makes something out of that. That'll be, I guess, one of our requests to go from the director's report. And then typically, we would get what activities had happened in the last month, the number of people that have used the facility, whether there were children's programs or any other types of programs, and the number of people that were involved with those. That's typical things that we would get in the director's report, and then along with the financial part.
Okay, so do we need to do any action on the director's report?
I don't think there is.
we have in the past approved the director's report, but I don't know if there's much to approve at this point since we don't have all the data that we've had in the past.
I guess we probably could. I mean, it's
Approve what you have.
approve what we have. So I'll make a motion to approve the information from the directors, that's in the director's report, that's included in this packet.
Motion by Steve, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Any
What do I
discussion?
say? Any discussion? Okay, so none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so we're done with the director's report. Next would be committee reports. Are there any?
I did note that your full agenda template is listed in your bylaws, which you might want to change in the future.
Yeah, I saw
because that
that.
does not match state law on how we act on things. But because of that, I just matched it for now.
And we can have Kevin.
Are you guys friends from the library? Would that be considered a committee report?
I had her for number 8.
Okay.
She has a letter to provide the board.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that's,
Okay, so we have no committee reports. We do have someone, Sheila?
Yep.
yep.
You have some communication for us?
Yes, I do. I actually have a little folder for the history books, but first and foremost, I'm Sheila Slater. Hello, everybody. I would like to congratulate you on the decision to have Kevin Kunkel join. I'm excited, and we look forward to work with him. We did have our event on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. I put a little folder together because I'm sure not everybody has seen everything. It pertains a thank you letter to the board, press release that was mailed out, our flyers, a couple of snapshots from the event, and screen prints. We did go ahead, and that was my faux pas, I apologize, and brought a check to the library today for $500, which we raised through the silent auction. I understand, I was told by Stephanie that in the future it would be appreciated we bring that here. So that was.
You guys might want to designate the use of those
Well,
funds.
the funds are designated anyway. It's a designated donation by the Friends Foundation towards the library and the youth program. So
Okay.
Jean Patrick is holding it. there's nothing, she said, assured me nothing's going to be done with it. She said Kevin is about to start, so it'll definitely be forwarded to you guys, and in the future I can bring it to a board meeting. Our next event is going to be July 25th. It's going to be out in Mount Vernon, which is going to host the beanbag tournament, and hopefully by then we'll have some merchandise that we hope to sell for a little bit extra. I just wanted to assure everybody that, of course, there's appropriation of the fund. These were designated contributions and donations we ask for. We will, going on forward, of course, meet all state and law requirements, and you know, over 80% will go towards, I'm assuming, your trust fund, and towards the purposes that we raise will be going towards the library for the use, for future use for programs. Did you have any questions for me today?
I just want to clarify one thing. I told Sheila that in the future, if they're doing a fundraising project for the library on behalf of the library, it'd just be good for it to come to the board, just a recap of the project, so you as the Board of Trustees would have an idea of, you know, what was done and what the project garnered, because really that cooperation approval came from you back to the Friends of the Library to do this event. So that way you as a board know what's going on as that money comes into the trustee account as well.
So I understand this correctly. Would you like me to request permission for every event, or?
I don't know of that in the.
Technically, you don't have to.
Exactly, and if there's any doubt, I mean, if you need a reference, I'd be more than happy to provide one. My former manager and mentors, Jeannie Record, Senior Vice President of Fidelity Investments, where I worked for over 7 years. You
I
can
think
contact
in the
her.
future, you would be working with the director that's hired, but coming to one of the individual staff members doing a project, it probably should go through the director, because they report to and work for the Board of Trustees.
Well, as I said, I'm sorry that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
dropped that off, but
Yeah,
again,
not a big deal, not a big deal.
It's a designated donation from us.
Yep.
So,
And-
but on that note, one quick question I do have, which wasn't clarified. I was informed at one point by Jackie Hess that she was holding a check for the Friends Foundation. Is anybody aware of that donation? It was,
For the friend?
yes.
Was-
Okay.
It was a smaller donation. She informed me via email, and I never heard back. I went there twice, and she
Was it on-
wasn't there, and so I'm just asking
Could it
if
possibly
anybody...
been on that list of checks that you guys went through, or any of them
If
dated
you had the
fairly
email that
recently?
showed the dollar amount, Sheila, that would be
She didn't
helpful.
tell me a dollar amount. She just said there is a donation for the Friends, and that's all I know. I do have the email saved. I
I
can
went
forward
through
that.
all the checks and everything that was in the office and all the donations. I didn't
I'm sure it
see
was not a
anything.
big amount. We
Right.
were just getting started last year, so I don't know.
I don't remember seeing anything when I went through the office.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we were trying to get to a set process, so that we'll have a record of how
Yeah.
those things are happening in the future,
Yeah.
because there was a little bit of just maybe disorganization in the way those.
And I'm all for transparency, and I
Yeah.
want to go the right way, so please, there's my phone number's on here, my email's on here. At any time, you can reach out to me.
Yep.
And I'm
I
gonna,
see you working closely with our new director, and we
Yes.
can get what we need from him. I would
Absolutely.
expect what you're doing with him should show up in some of his reports to us.
Yep.
That's the way I see that working.
right, so I'm going to give this to
Rest
Deb,
Agree?
is that your name?
Yep.
Sorry.
Right, just with the lack of a
Thank you.
director right now, I asked her to bring it
Thank
in to
you.
you as a board, since we didn't have Kevin on board.
Okay.
No, but going on forward, absolutely, I'd be more, I've met him briefly when I covered the school board last year for the paper, so I know who Kevin is,
You know
and I'm
who he is.
excited.
Okay.
So I look forward to working with him. Thank you so much, that's all I have.
Thank
No
you,
questions?
thank you for the, so, and I saw some of the artwork when I was down here. So, was it, I mean, is that artwork just given back to the,
No, there was
Participants
actually
or-
a silent auction, and that's how we raised the fund.
Right.
And there were, of course, the overall was
Some-
designated donations. We started the bid at $10. Some grandparents or parents bought the art back. There were only 3 pieces, and I should bring this up, that weren't bid on, but those
Okay.
were 2 were no names, and 1 just didn't get a bid. So if that is okay with the board, what we were thinking is
That's
just donate it to the library and hang it maybe in the kids' department with a little name of the kid that we have. We have 1 and 2 no names. And the other art was bid.
Was bid, okay.
And that's how we were able to raise the funds. So this was our first and inaugural event. We didn't want to advertise it too much and get too big. We were kind of getting our feet wet and, just testing, but we've got great feedback from parents and grandparents, and they're already asking us to do another event in the fall. So we'll do another art contest, possibly a photo contest, but as I
It's
said, we'll
also
talk.
good
Yep.
with the public presentation, because we
Yeah.
got quite a few questions about whether they were tied to the library or not. So just as much exposure as you can get for those groups
Right.
that you're working with, I think is
Yeah, and
great.
I understand, I mean, as a new foundation, we
Mhm.
have this question of credibility, we're
Yep.
new,
Yep.
there's something in the past, I've heard stories that people have done events and moved on, and we definitely are here to stay.
Okay.
So, please do reach out, I'm local, I'm here in 5 minutes, so phone number and email, everything is in there. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
thank you for
you.
coming.
Good rest of the meeting.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Okay, we'll move on to number 9, the financial report.
My inhaler finally kicked in, so I'm
Good.
good now. Sorry about that, you guys. I did an updated report that shows the year-to-date charges for the library, January through, well, I chose June 30th, but I think I ran this on June 29th, as you can see, but there wouldn't have been additional bills submitted. You can see that actually now with salaries, we're right on target for where we should be for halfway through the year. We're 51% of the budget spent. You can see the current expenses that we were over on repairs and maintenance. I did give you a breakdown of that later in the packet.
Yeah.
And you're getting pretty close, you're above where you should be on some of these items, but they might be, like, water sewer is only billed twice a year, utility software is usually an annual thing. So it looks a lot better than it did earlier in the year when, we were way
Yeah.
over on some of those lines for where you should be year to date. So it looks a lot better. We have got confirmation from the state that we will be receiving an allocation of up to $3.5 million for COVID-related expenses. So any of the costs that we have in your supplies and materials for those items, and I think I might have
okay.
given you a breakdown on some of those, they will be submitted for reimbursement. So you'll see face masks, there's $172 there, but we also had some, I don't know if these are going to show in this report yet or not, but when Jessica went and bought the dividers and some of those other items, those will come back and be reimbursed when we get those,
Okay.
when we receive that money back. Here's some Clorox wipes, plexiglass. Those things are all eligible expenses for us to get reimbursed for.
The big repair maintenance item, the $2,558 was the heating control unit.
Yep.
That we discussed at a previous meeting, in case,
Yep.
I know a lot of you are new, but that's what that was, our heating control unit went down. It was a costly repair.
Yep. And keeping in mind, the city's policy is that your budget can't go over, so if you're paying for an expense like that without approval from the council on contingency, it has to be made up elsewhere. So that amount's going to have to, that $2,500 will have to be reduced elsewhere in the budget to make it balance. So we still continue to find lots of automated billing items coming into the department. Jessica, I know, has been going through those as
Really?
they come in.
A
Yeah, like
lot.
the books that we were told weren't being ordered, they were still ordering all of them, they just weren't shipping them. So we still got billed for them, and Jessica did inform staff to send some of those back to make that budget balance a little bit. I don't know if any of the credits are reflected on here yet, but that was requested that get done. But that's really the only difference in the financial report from the previous time, because you guys have looked at it quite a bit in the last, 3, 4, 5 meetings that we've had, so. I'll answer any other questions that you might have on that as it's presented.
So that big number, that $2,500 repair bill, we only had $1,500 budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to somehow come up with another $1,000 from somewhere else.
Well, and that, if you look at the total budget for that line on this year-to-date library, January through June,
Yep.
your repair line is already over $2,454.
Yep.
And lines cannot go over. So you're going to have to make that up somewhere else, that overage.
And hopefully part of it will be in part-time employee costs.
Yeah.
We'll
If
save.
you continue to hold off on hiring, filling those part-time, or bring the part-time
Back.
employees back, once Kevin starts, that will offset some of that pretty quickly.
Okay.
Which is how we've kind of offset Jackie's payout, or the former director's payout.
Yeah.
So you have the ability to do it. I just want you as a board to be aware of it, so that you see that coming forward.
Okay.
Again, I apologize about my stupid asthma. Doing my best here. So, any other questions on the finance office report or the finance report?
So, any other discussion? Do I have a motion to accept the financial report and approval of bills?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Was that Emma?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Thank you, Emma.
Cool.
Yeah, she's got a cool accent. That's
Any discussion? No. What's the wording?
all. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So, unfinished business.
So one item I want to give to you as a board, if you look on your bylaws on section 3, it outlines this format for your agenda. I just want to make a note that, you know, your unfinished and new business really probably shouldn't be listed this way, because with any public board that has direct funding authority and statutory authorities behind you like you do as a public library board, every item you're going to take action on has to be listed specifically on the agenda. So I do think in the future, you'd probably want to eliminate having your old unfinished business and new business, because
Just be items
you just
on
have to
there,
list
right?
every item, because that's required by state law. So this format that they have is in Robert's Rules of Order, so I understand where it came from. But with the way that we have to do action items that you're going to actually take action on, I would suggest that you change that in the future. So I did just put that door counter quote and the access points for public Wi-Fi back on the agenda, because I know it's something that you said you wanted to discuss when Kevin got here. So I can continue to list that till you change your bylaws, but I just wanted to make sure we had a record of it. So I don't know if you'll want to take any action on it today, but I just wanted it there for historic memory, I guess.
Okay.
And the thing about how we do the agenda, do we need to make a change to our bylaws?
Yep, and
Yeah.
I have that later on the agenda for discussion because of that.
Okay,
So,
okay. So then what we're talking about then is the door counter. I suppose we should talk about these individually, but that was something, like you just said, we thought that we wanted to keep it top of mind, but would wait until we got our new director on. So I would suggest that we just wait on that.
continue to roll it to the next
The-
meeting.
The question I have, and so the item that was in our packet, it talks about just one counter for a rear door? Well, I don't understand, we would want a counter on the east door and the west door.
We took the quote from the last one we did at the Corn Palace, just to give you something to go off of. So that's how much it costs per door that you do.
So this is just an example of so if we wanted the east and west door, a couple $1,000
Yep.
approximately, and we would do the install.
Yeah.
Or
That-
city,
Andrew thought that the installation would be relatively easy, something he could do. This one was a little bit more complicated because it's the back of the Corn Palace and you just got.
okay, so
Set
this is an example of
Correct.
approximate
Yep.
per door. Okay, that answers that question, thank you.
Okay?
That makes sense.
It was from January
Yeah.
2019, so it's an old quote, but I guess when the former director had asked about it previously at the request of the board, that's what he had supplied them with, so, or
Okay.
supplied her with. So I just put it in there just as a point of reference in case I'm not here when you guys get back to discussing it again. Kevin will be able to look back at what that previous information was.
Okay. So do we need to take action on that document, or can we do both of these together?
I think
think
you don't even need to
I don't
take
think we
action on
need
it.
to
I
act
think
on it at
your
all.
direction to staff would be to continue to roll that forward to the next meeting.
Okay, and the same with the wireless
It's access
access
Yes, I
point.
do have
That was-
one addition on that, and we had a meeting with the library staff this morning, and they had this as a suggestion. I thought it was a good suggestion. With COVID, the CARES Act money that we are getting, we can apply for expenses related to altering or providing services that are not budgeted. We could try and do this as a COVID expense due to being able to provide public Wi-Fi in the parking lot where people can stay in their cars. The other thing is, Zach, one of your library staff is going to look at, there was a new second round or whatever you want to say of grants for technology due to the COVID and CARES Act. So Zach was going to look at that again and see if we could get it to
I saw
qualify.
that. Okay.
So I told them to get on that right away. The other thing that we'll add for a future discussion is they brought up, they make these like divider things that you can put between like 4 chairs, so it creates almost
A
like,
partition.
yeah, a partition between each person sitting there, so that if and when the board gets to a point where you want to reopen, that may be something that you could implement so people could still have a place to sit in the library, but you're still allowing for some of that physical distancing between people.
Separated but
Yeah.
fairly close.
Yeah, exactly. Or together but apart, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever the theme was for the art contest. So I will continue to roll those forward to the next meeting.
Okay.
I just wanted to get them out there so that your new director coming in, and I wouldn't forget to tell him. So that was my safety net.
So does the counter, that could be one of the COVID expenses too?
I don't know if the counter would qualify because that's really tracking how many people are coming in and out the door.
I just didn't know if there was a limit on how many people you can have in the space, like.
Maybe, well,
you know.
maybe
Yeah,
we
I
should
mean,
try.
yeah, is there
Yeah.
a creative way to
Look
think
at that,
think
Dan.
of
That's
why
a
we
good
want it?
idea. To check occupancy levels,
Right.
and yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. We can look at that too. That's a great idea, actually. So, I mean, if we can find ways to use the funds, we want to do that first.
Right.
So.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so we'll roll those to the next meeting,
Yep.
so after we have our new director on board. The next is the designation of signatory on the Board of Trustee account.
This is something Jessica needs because, as you remember, on your trustee account, you have 2 signers now.
Yep.
It was Jessica and Jim as the former chairperson. So we need the board to take action to designate Ann as a signatory, as the chairperson of the.
I
of
will
Board
make
of
the motion for Ann to be designated as the signatory.
I'm almost wondering, do you want 3 people in case one person is not available?
That's true. You could still require 2 signatures, but have
Yeah.
3 people authorized to sign. That's a great idea.
So then I would nominate Danny as the third. But how often do we do this? I mean, is this like every?
You probably, it depends on
Once a
what
month?
how your officers change and that kind of thing. I would assume you're going to redo it here in a month when Kevin's on board, because you'll probably want him instead of
me.
Jessica as the signatory.
Okay,
So you could just go with you for now and then look at it again at the next meeting, who you want for the 3 people. We could schedule that again.
okay,
We just need someone to be able to sign checks because you require 2 signatures.
okay. So my question really was more, what checks?
Board of Trustees.
Need both.
Right, how often does it happen?
Approximately every other week, depending on the bills. It's more frequent during the summer reading program, when those bills are coming in,
Okay.
than it would be during the fall.
For, like for program
Mhm.
things when we purchase gifts or
Yeah,
certificates
stuff
or
for the
whatever
summer-
we
anything
have
the
for,
summer reading program, supplies, materials.
yeah.
And
books.
just for new board members, information, before it was just the director signing, and we thought this was a good, typically any other financial account that we would have in the city, we would ask you to have 2 signers. It's just a good checks and balance, so we suggested that for the board to have 2 signers. I think going forward, you should always maintain that financial policy for yourself.
Okay,
So I had a motion by
Motion.
Steve to designate Ann.
Ann.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I got Deb as the second first. I think she got first call on it.
okay. Is
I
there-
didn't have my mic on, sorry.
Is there any discussion on that? Okay, then all in favor of that, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign?
And I will go ahead, Ann, and I will schedule that for your next regular meeting. when Kevin's on board, because he should be here by then. And then you guys can discuss it again at that point.
And the bank is First Bank of Omaha. Is it First National?
First National.
First National Bank of Omaha, so you'll have to do a signature signed card sometime.
Is that the one across from the theater?
Yes.
And do I just stop in there, or?
You'll want to call and set up an appointment to do the signature card.
And
And
you
we'll-
usually send them the copy of the minutes,
Yep, I'll
right?
send them the minutes.
And is there a certain contact person?
Sarah Olson.
And the bank is called?
First National Bank of Omaha.
The old commercial bank for you
Yeah,
oldies.
no, that's what I would call it. An old timer. Okay. So next is the review of bylaws, and Stephanie, this is where you
Yep.
are suggesting we modify those bylaws. So
And
that-
it might be something that you bring up when Kevin's on
Kevin,
board too, to walk through.
And maybe we just go through the whole
Yep, I do think
thing
so.
and,
So just hold off on that, maybe.
Yep, but the other item that I just wanted to point out, based on the conversations I've heard you as a board bring up, is that in the bylaws, you will also designate the starting time of your meeting. So if you're wanting
No,
to,
it says, or as
scheduled by.
as something,
Yep,
As
So-
agreed on by the board.
or as such time agreed to
Yep.
by the board.
so if you're wanting to change your meeting time, your regular meeting, this isn't considered a regular meeting, 'cause we're not on the second Tuesday or third Tuesday of the month, or whatever your regular meeting was. So if you're wanting to do that, we should schedule that for action at a future meeting as well. Because you'll probably want to publish it and then have the board take formal action on the
so
meeting.
you don't think that that means that we can just decide at any time
No, I
what time
think
we
it
want to
is.
meet?
But I think you should schedule for action setting your meeting time. Since you
Oh,
have it in your
oh,
bylaws
oh.
that you meet at 4:30, if you want to change that meeting time from 4:30.
Right, but even if we left it at 4:30 and next month we said, well, let's meet at 5 o'clock, you don't think the bylaws allow us to do that?
Only if you as a board decide, because it
Yeah.
says if the board decides it. And you can't take action outside of an open meeting.
Oh, I see.
So you have to
So we
schedule
can't,
it for
we
action.
can't, we
in
can't
an open-
decide by an email conversation that we're going to meet at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, because if you're changing something from your bylaws, you should have that on record in an open meeting when you're changing and why.
So we might want to move that, we might want to give ourselves the flexibility to establish that outside of the bylaws.
Correct.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Otherwise, it's set in there, and you're going to have to record that in action in an open
Every
meeting.
time.
Yeah.
So if we worded that, they shall meet as, and just leave out the second Wednesday, just say shall meet as such time agreed to by the board, is that
Or
sufficient?
declared by the chairperson of the board or something,
Yep.
so that you're not having to have the full board
Board
come in
meet
and
and have
take
a
an
formal
action
action.
to change the time.
So we can say that as
Sure.
declared
Yep.
by the chairperson?
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want to change it until you get to the next time, on the next meeting, I can schedule for you as a full board to take action to set your meeting time.
Yeah, I see.
Probably we should, we should probably have Kevin here before we decide for sure,
Yeah,
don't you think?
yeah, I would. I get everything set up so
Yeah.
that first meeting with Kevin, we can knock off
Yeah.
a
Bunch of stuff.
I'm really just
bunch of
trying
the
to-
things, but then for him as the director, and then he is the secretary, to understand how he wants,
Right. and
Part
it's
of that
going
to
be
go,
just
too.
barely, it'll only be like his second day.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
yeah, so it might take
The next meeting.
the next
after
meeting
that.
after that.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm following up on all the stuff you guys have talked about while I've been here, so at least we have it on the record and you guys can take it from there where you want to go.
Sure.
The other item that I would suggest that you look at changing is on your order of your agenda on section 3.
Yep.
I think that the director's report is good, financial report, you can keep committee reports on there, communication and correspondence. The only two items that I would suggest that you remove is G and H, because those two items, every item that this board acts on should be listed specifically on the
Whether it's
agenda.
new, old, or
Right, you can't just
indifferent.
bring something that you discussed before and expect to take action on it, because it has to be listed on the agenda that you as a board are considering action on it again. So that would be the only two items that I recommend that you would maybe look at taking out of that format for your meeting.
All right?
And that was all I had for that. Sorry.
Okay, so we don't need to take any action
Nope.
on that at this point. And review or updates to reopening policies.
So, yeah, you just brief us again as to what we have in place and hours, especially for the new board members,
Yep.
hours of operation and who's working and not working and the fact, I mean, we're not doing any temporary
Yep.
employees right now and all that type of stuff.
So, you on the computers watching, can you see the website right now? Okay, good. Just make sure you guys are seeing the same thing. Everything that the city has altered due to COVID is listed here under the COVID-19 tab. So we'll pull up the library board. Oh man, hold on. Must not have been of course it was on here. Oh, for sake. Okay, let's do this. I'll go back into the former news release.
It's on the agenda too.
Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it was on the agenda.
Look good for me, I guess.
I'm looking
I always
at it, too.
surprise myself that I thought
Phase
about
one,
stuff
phase
ahead of
two,
time, yep.
facility changes,
Yep,
district
yep.
guidelines, right?
So-
That's what you're looking for?
That's what I was
Yeah,
looking
okay.
for, perfect, thanks, you guys, I do this ahead of time, so I forgot what I had
Yeah.
ready for you,
I
sorry.
just kind of wanted, if we could just go through
Yep,
the bold items and just update us kind of as to
yep.
what's happening.
So the first phase, the library closed to the public but providing services, that was before we started opening with our limited hours. At any time, if something were to happen here in the city and we went back to city facilities closed, you would go back into that phase one. We are currently in phase two, which began on May 25th. You can see our adjusted hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, Saturday from 10 to 2. We do reserve 10 to 11 for reserved for high-risk patrons. And they do curbside pickup 2 to 5:50 Monday through Friday and 2 to 3:50 on Saturday. The summer reading program, they've been doing Read Squared. They're doing other online methods and curbside pickup activity.
And the things we discussed about whatever we were saying we were going to buy for the summer reading program, all that is
You guys approved Jean doing
going.
some virtual presentations
Mhm.
for the summer youth program through Zoom,
Mhm.
and she's still proceeding with those. I don't know if she's gotten we talked at
We
2
need the
meetings
invoice.
ago that she had some bills coming up that she was
Mhm.
going to submit for that.
Okay.
The other thing that Jean just brought up today at our staff meeting is outside of regular hours, she has done some consulting for other libraries doing like a writing workshop. And she said it went really well in Parkston where they did young writers. So she wants to do that for our library as part of our summer program. It won't cost us anything because she'll do it during her time working for us. So we thought that was a good idea and told her to run with it today. So I thought that was really good. The next category there, you'll see facility changes. We currently have people just entering through the west entry so that the east entry is being used as the curbside drop off, and then they take stuff that people come in and collect or drop off right into the quarantine room. The staff are currently required to wear facial coverings when they're working in public spaces or when they're interacting with customers. We have made an accommodation for an employee who just is working behind the plexiglass and not outside of there when interacting with customers. That was approved for personnel-related issues or items. You can see the other things. Right now, we currently have the community rooms closed because that is where we're quarantining the materials that are returned. We also have the archive room closed off. The book sale room is closed to the public, and the tea room is closed to the public. You'll see the first item that I had listed as a bullet was a request to consider opening the book sale room. Staff said that that's the one that people are asking the most about.
Are they getting,
I did actually have a recommendation for staff as a way, because that room is a small room, very confined area. The idea that I presented to the staff was
Make
to
an
put
appointment.
tables out in the hallway, because we have that large hallway area that's not being used.
Yep.
So if we can do a select amount of books and put them on that tables out there, so that way the public can use that instead of a used book sale room.
And I know you as the board had said you wanted to revisit that because
Yeah,
that is
I
one
wanted
of
to
your
see what
sources
type
of
of requests we
revenue
were
for
getting.
this.
We're getting a
Yeah.
lot.
So, because it would be a change to those adopted policies, if you as Board of Trustees want to consider changing that, I like that idea, because they were also talking about not wanting people sitting in that small space.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that is one of the frequent questions they're asked.
Well, I think if people are wanting it and you have figured out a way to make that safer, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And technically, it's not the book sale room, it's just the book sale is
Book.
available.
Just- Yep, yeah. They don't care whether they get in the room or not.
Right.
They want to be able to peruse and see
Purchase the book.
what books and buy some and,
It would be helpful for us if you as a board would just take a motion to open up or approve the starting the book sales in this alternate delivery method. Just because with the lack of a director, we've
Okay.
been referring all those decisions back to the
Yeah.
board in
I-
the interim.
and do you guys have a target date when you'd want
I
to
think
try
whenever.
and do it, or
Next Monday?
Yeah, we can start right away.
on the 6th? Okay, I'll make the motion to start to offer the sale of books starting on July 6th in the altered method outside of the book room.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that carries.
The next item is a request that I received from someone. He had been calling library staff, or he had been expressing his concerns to library staff quite a bit about the 30-minute time limit on the computers. They had given him my card to call. So he called and talked to me for probably, 35, 40 minutes the other day.
Great.
And actually, it was not a real negative conversation. He wanted to have a better understanding about the reasoning for the time limit. I explained that since you have reduced hours, we were just trying to make sure there was enough time for as many people as possible to use the computers and to still have time to disinfect in between each use. He felt better about that, but he did want me to bring to the board to consider extending it back to an hour. I know that staff said that right now, there's a lot of people going over the 30 minutes. It's more like 35 or 40 by the time they get someone off there, and then they're wiping down. So they would like to see it stay as is, at least until you get open to full regular hours. So,
And
Up.
don't we have a process where if there's one available, that they can then use that, or
right now,
Oh,
it's
what is
limited to 30 minutes a day.
per person?
Mhm.
So, and the staff feels like that people are, it would be difficult to have one person be on longer than 30 minutes. Okay. I would defer to the staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we're open, our normal hours and all that type of stuff, if you were on the computer for 30 minutes and there was nobody waiting and that type of stuff, you just, hey, I want another half-hour time slot, and you just kept going, and you kept going and kept going. And we really, the after-school rush time, so 3 to around 6 o'clock, and then we had a time in the mornings, some days, where,
Right.
for whatever reason,
When they first open.
yeah, boom, all the computers were in use, and the policy kind of before was you could get a half an hour, but if somebody wasn't using it, you could just stay there and keep going. And now that we have limited hours, it's like you get a half an hour and that's all you get.
And if the staff, I
If-
feel if the staff feels like people
Yeah.
are waiting or those time slots are all taken, then
I
think we
especially with limited hours, I just try and,
I think it makes sense when you're on limited hours to keep the policy as is, but I did tell this individual that I would bring it back to the board for discussion. And obviously, when you have a director on board, they'll be there watching
Yeah.
it every day, so they could make a
And maybe they-
recommendation to
they
the
can
board at a future
evaluate.
time.
When I stopped this afternoon, a patron did have to wait a few minutes because computers are full, and then they had to go, and they needed the time to leave the desk and clean the computer off before that patron could use it. So, I mean, it's working well with the 30 minutes because of the reduced hours.
But even now, if they're there and no one else is, they can continue on, right? Or no?
Well, no, we're.
Staff have said that, like Jean Patrick said, that they'll go over once they're at the 30 minutes and they'll start kind of, cleaning around.
Yeah.
And, well, your time's up. It's been 35 minutes. It's been 38, 40 minutes, to try to get them out. They have some people that are going over the limit now. So the concern is if you extend it, then we're going to have more of that carrying forward and they're not going to have time to disinfect between people.
But if they get off in 30 minutes and they clean it and no one is ready to use that one again, I mean, no one is waiting to use that again.
Yeah, technically, we're still not allowing them to get back on, and maybe that's,
My understanding, that's rare.
Okay.
so like I might use it a half an hour from 10 to 10:30 and come back at 4 to 4:30 or 3:30 to 4 o'clock, and if they know I was there before, I can't use it again?
The individual that contacted me, his concern was if you're online and you're filling out like the unemployment
Can
forms
you get
that
it
you have
done
to
in a half
do,
an hour?
it takes you longer than that to get through there. And that's when he asked about, well, if you guys had other Wi-Fi access, and then he said, well, my computer's broke, and I got a whole list of reasons why, but he did say the form that you walk through is pretty complicated, he thought, to get through in that short of time.
Can we make sure we have this on the agenda for the next
Yep.
meeting?
And it may be also, I mean, keep in mind, it may be different when you have a director there
Right.
in the building.
Right.
Staff are following the rules as they're set because that gives them a level of comfort in, what guidelines they're following. They're following the guidelines as laid out. If your director's there and there's a unique circumstance, they'll probably work with that person, but it's just different when you don't have that leadership position there.
Okay, is there anything else with the reopening policy, Stephanie?
Nope, that was the only two requests that we had heard. Yep. So other than that, we had we had some personnel issues that we're dealing with following schedules as printed and things like that. So we're getting that all communicated, make sure people are following the schedule as posted. We went out through the end of July
Yeah.
with the current rotation of 5 weeks,
Yeah.
so that your new director would be on board and would have a couple of weeks before they're having to
Figure out
make
if
any
it-
decisions.
Okay.
Any
And technically,
changes
it'd
to
be a
the
week.
schedule require 10 days notification due to our union contract, so that'll give, it might need to go a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
We have been asked by staff about pulling part-time employees back in, and I said, at this point, until you're back reopened, until we have a director on board, I don't see anything changing through the schedule as it's set now. So,
And when I'm watching the schedule with requests for leave, I'm making sure there's at least 2 people in the building at all times.
I don't know, Jessica, did you have anything else that we went over that?
Nope, we covered it.
Okay.
Okay. Next is board input. Anyone have anything they'd like to say?
I've had 2 emails, calls, comments that they're really happy the library opened again.
Good.
I mean, people actually reached out to me to make sure that I was aware. So,
Awesome.
which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, thanks for your patience today with me. Sorry about that.
Well, I would
You
like
sound a
to,
lot better.
I would like to welcome Emma
I mean,
and Diana.
Welcome.
Welcome. I
So
don't
what
know.
questions
Oh,
do
you
you have?
can't see it. You can't see us, but
Here, I can try.
welcome Emma and Diana. It's good to have you aboard. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I probably can't answer them, but maybe somebody can. Our next board meeting originally would have been on July 21st, which is our normal third Tuesday, correct?
Mhm.
That would be Kevin's second day, and we used to always be at 4:30. Now, how does that work for everyone? Does 4:30 work, or I know, Deb, you maybe prefer 5?
I'd prefer 5 just because I don't have to take time off every third Tuesday.
And that's a regular meeting, and that's technically, it looks like your annual meeting according to your bylaws, so I don't think you can change that time.
Okay.
But we can schedule on that agenda to switch it to 5 o'clock for the future meeting,
Okay,
if that works for you.
okay, so our next meeting, you're saying, would have to be at our normal
Yeah, it
time,
does.
which is 4:30.
4:30. Well, if
July
4:30 works for everyone else, I can figure it out.
Okay, so Emma and Diana, think about that, and we'll talk about that at our next meeting then. Typically, we've done 4:30 the third Tuesday of every month, and they typically last 60 to 90 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll just, next meeting, July 21st.
Oh, yeah, that will be a second day.
Yeah, so, I mean.
That might be
Kevin-
good, though.
What's that?
That might be good. I
Yeah,
mean,
we'll jump right in there.
Yeah, there you go.
So at least he can see what the meetings are all about, and he'll have a lot of other things to do too, but.
That's okay, I'm here, so it should be okay.
July 21st, 4:30, either Zoom. Stephanie, will you
Yep,
take
I'll
care
talk
of the
to them
Zoom
again,
meeting?
and I will show Kevin how to do it for future meetings. We are submitting the Zoom expenses, part of the COVID expenses, so we can continue that through the end of the year too, for anyone that feels more comfortable that way.
All right, so you can attend here. This is City Council Chambers. Emma and Diana, if you're not knowing where we're sitting, but any other things to talk about? Okay.
I have a few questions.
Oh,
Yep.
sure.
Obviously, I use the library, but may not be as familiar with it as I should be. Is there any kind of information packet about the library with a summary of all the different activities and events and staff and any targets for number of people served, that kind of thing that we should be reading as new board members?
I never got anything, and I'm the longest tenured member here. No, Steve is, but.
There are brochures at the library. I know about the summer reading program or papers, but I don't think we have any, do we?
I don't know of any board packet.
I can go through the library director's office and see if I can find something. I don't know if there is anything, but I can see if there is something.
That would be a really helpful thing for new board members.
Mhm.
But if it hasn't been made up, I think,
Would it be possible to go wander around and have a guided tour, kind of like the
Yeah, absolutely.
back room?
Sure.
Yeah, just call that cell phone number I gave you. You can call that one anytime and set up a time, and I'll give you a guided tour through the library.
I need that.
Maybe Emma and I will get together and pick out a time and get back to you.
Perfect.
Your other
That's a really
option,
good idea.
your other option is we could schedule your regular meeting in July at the library and conduct that tour as part of the meeting. Your regular meeting in July is supposed to be your annual meeting where you elect officers, but we had to do this early because we didn't have an officer. And you're supposed to review the annual budget and approve it at that meeting. And you were supposed to do an annual report too, I thought I read in here. So it might be a good idea to actually just hold that, start off with the tour, come into your regular meeting and do that all at once.
That's a great idea.
Because I can still Zoom from over there through the internet. We just won't broadcast to YouTube, but that'll be okay.
But I'm still willing to do a personal tour too if you want.
No big deal.
Well, I don't think you need to do both, so it's up to you guys, one or the other. People don't need to.
I haven't had a tour either, other than as a patron, so I would like to do that. So let's plan our next meeting. We will meet at 4:30 in the conference room at the library, which when you come in, it's kind of on the north side in one of those rooms. And then we'll start out the meeting with Jessica giving us all a tour, and then we will.
Or you could have Kevin give the tour at that
Or
time.
Kevin.
He'll be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because then you could walk through as a board with him and talk about any previous board conversations you've had, that kind of thing at the same time. I think that, I understand he brought up some of those conversations during the interview process, so it might be a good time for you as a whole board to see it and have that kind of casual conversation as you walk through. I guess that's what I was seeing in my head, too.
Did you have other questions, Emma or Diana?
No,
I don't think so.
All right, so we'll meet at 4:30. We'll start with a tour, and then we will conduct our meeting over there. And Stephanie, I might just ask, when you send out the reminder about this, that you put a reminder at the top that we are meeting at the library.
I will do that, yeah.
Because we're kind of creatures of habit.
Yeah, me too. And I will get that agenda started right away so that I can show Kevin how that works when he comes on too.
Oh.
And what would you like me to do with the folder from the foundation, the Friends of the Library?
I think that that would be good to hold on to for Kevin for,
Yeah.
especially since it's going into the trustees account.
Mhm. Thank you. Inhale.
I know.
Okay, do we have any other questions or discussion? And I can just adjourn the meeting. Right?
Yep.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Ann.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, it was two different dates and one, that was my, one place says to fix the agenda, and everything else says first, so. I asked, that was your error, Deb, that was my error, so I apologize about that. I think it's reading error, right?